Easy English Memory Boost. Introduction. Hello and welcome to Easy English Memory Boost. Do you find it hard to remember new English words? Do you learn something one day and forget it the next? Does it feel difficult to keep all the grammar rules in your head? If this sounds like you, know that you are not alone. Many people feel this way when they start learning English. It can sometimes make you feel sad. But what if there was an easier, better way to learn and remember English? What if your brain could help you learn, instead of making it hard? This book will help you do just that. Our main goal is to show you how to learn English faster and remember more. We think learning English does not have to be a hard fight. We will share simple tips and easy ways that can make a big change. You do not need to be a super student or spend many hours trying to memorize things. Instead, we will help your memory get stronger so that the English you learn stays with you. Imagine remembering new words and phrases easily and feeling sure of yourself when you talk or write. How do we do this? We use a smart way called active learning for English memory. This may sound a bit difficult, but it is really simple. Active learning means you are not just sitting and letting words come to you. You are doing things. You are using the English you see. Instead of just looking at a word, you might use it in a sentence. Instead of just hearing a phrase, you think about what it means. It is like watching a movie versus playing a fun game. English memory is about making sure the English you learn stays. It is about making strong links in your brain so you can easily find and use the words, grammar, and sentences you need. When you learn actively, your brain pays more attention. It makes stronger memories. It is like making a clear, easy path for English in your mind, a path you can always follow. What makes this book special is how we put this active way together with some great tools. We use special books made just for English learners. These books use simpler English, which is perfect for you. They are written to be interesting and easy to follow, so you can focus on learning without getting stuck on hard words. Think of them as your own fun English adventure books. You will learn by reading these stories and by listening. We will show you how to read in a way that helps you remember. We will show you how to listen, so you understand better and can recall what you hear. Using subtitles, for example, can be a good way to connect the sounds of English with the words you see, making it easier to learn. By using these special books with this active practice, you create a learning experience that truly stays. So, what will you get from this book? You will learn simple memory tips you can use for English and even for other things in your life. You will find out how to make new English words and grammar rules stay in your brain. You will get better at understanding when you read and when you listen. Most importantly, you will feel more sure of yourself when using English. You will learn English faster than you might think. This book is made to give you the tools and the confidence to take control of your English learning. Using this book is easy. We will show you step by step. We will give you a memory tip, and then we will show you exactly how to use it with reading and listening practice from our special books. Just follow along, try the practice, and be nice to yourself. The more you take part and actively join in, the more you will learn and the more you will remember. Learning a new language is an exciting trip, and we are so happy to be part of your trip. Get ready to boost your English memory and see what you can do. Let's start. 1. Improve your memory skills. Learning a new language can feel like trying to catch water in your hands. You pour it in, but it quickly slips away. Many people think they just have a bad memory, but your memory isn't like a fixed container. It's more like a muscle. The more you use it in the right way, the stronger it becomes. And the good news is, you don't need special tools or hard exercises. You just need to know a few simple tricks that our brains already know how to do. Think about something you learned a long time ago, like a favorite song from when you were a child. You can probably still sing it even after many years. Or maybe you can remember a funny story from a holiday with all the small details. That's your memory at work. It's not magic. It's about how you first took in that information and how you've kept it alive. The same strong memory skills that help you remember song lyrics or funny stories can absolutely help you remember new English words, grammar rules, and how to put them all together. This is where our special idea, active learning for English memory, comes in. It's all about doing things with the English you learn, not just letting it pass over you. When you actively use your brain, you're telling it, hey, this is important. Pay attention and keep this. This is the key to learning English faster and remembering more, especially when you use the simple, fun learning materials we'll talk about. Let's start with a common situation. Imagine you go to the supermarket. You need to buy milk, bread, eggs, cheese, apples, bananas, chicken, and rice. That's 8 things. If I just tell you the list, how many can you remember an hour later? Maybe 3? Maybe 5 if you're lucky. It's hard, right? But what if you imagine yourself opening the fridge: milk, cheese, eggs, then going to the bread aisle, then the fruit section: apples, bananas, then the meat counter: chicken, and finally the grains: rice. Suddenly you have a little story, a path through the store. This mental journey makes the list much easier to remember. This is a simple example of how our brains naturally remember better when things are connected, organized, or acted out in our minds. Now let's apply this to learning English. The biggest memory problem for many beginners is simply trying to put too many new words and rules into their heads all at once. It's like trying to carry all 8 grocery items in one hand. They just fall out. This is where the idea that memory is a skill, not just a gift, becomes very important. You aren't bad at remembering if you forget a new English word. You just haven't practiced the right way to remember it yet. Just like you can't become a great piano player by just listening to music, you can't become great at remembering English by just reading a word list. You need to practice remembering. So, how do we practice remembering? One of the most powerful ways is called active recall. This sounds a bit complicated, but it's really simple. Instead of just reading a new English word, say, happy, and then reading its meaning, feeling good, active recall means you test yourself. You might look at the word happy and try to remember what it means without looking. Or, you might look at the meaning feeling good and try to remember the English word. Let's say you're reading a simple English story. A graded reader may just for learners like you. You come across the word jump. The sentence says, the boy can jump high. You read it. Okay, jump. What does it mean? You could just move on. But with active recall, you'd pause. You close the book for a second or just cover the word with your finger and think, okay, jump. What does that mean? I saw a picture of someone jumping yesterday. It's like leaping, right? Or, you might see the word jump and try to think of a sentence using it. The frog can. You try to fill in the blank with jump. This little mental effort, this act of pulling the information out of your brain, is incredibly powerful. It's like a workout for your memory muscle. It tells your brain, this is important. I need to know this. When you do this, the word jump sticks much better than if you just read it and forgot it. Another fantastic memory booster is making connections or association. Our brains are like a giant web. Every piece of information is a point on the web, and connections are the threads linking these points. The more threads you create, the stronger the memory becomes and the easier it is to find that information again. How can you make connections with English words? It's all about linking new information to something you already know or something that stands out. For example, let's say you learn the English word big. It means large. You already know the word big in English, but let's pretend you're learning it for the first time. You could connect it to a word in your own language that sounds similar. Or you could imagine a giant elephant, a very big animal. The more unusual or funny the image, the better. Imagine a tiny mouse trying to ride a gigantic elephant. That's a strong, silly image, and it will help you remember that big means large. What if you learn the word chair? Think about your favorite chair at home. Where is it? What color is it? Who sits in it? By connecting chair to your own chair, you're creating a strong personal link. You can also try to connect words to each other. If you learn table, you can immediately think of chair because they often go together. You can also use your body. When you learn the word stand, stand up. When you learn sit, sit down. This physical connection makes the word more memorable. The key is to make these connections personal and vivid. Don't just think, chair means a thing to sit on. Think, my comfy blue armchair is a chair. Then there's chunking and repetition. Have you ever tried to memorize a phone number? It's hard to remember 10 separate numbers, right? But if you chunk it into groups, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, it's much easier. Our brains like order and patterns. We can remember smaller groups of information much better than one long string. In English learning, this means don't try to learn 50 new words at once. Break them down into smaller groups, maybe 5 or 10 words at a time. You could group them by topic. Words about food, words about animals, words about feelings. Or you could group them by grammar, words that are verbs, words that are adjectives. And when we talk about repetition, we don't mean just reading the same list over and over again until you fall asleep. That's boring and not very effective. We mean spaced repetition. This is a fancy term for reviewing things at just the right times. You review something soon after you learn it, then again a little later, then after a longer time, and so on. This tells your brain that this information is important and needs to be moved from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. Think of it like watering a plant. You don't water it all at once, you water it regularly. Spaced repetition is like giving your English knowledge a gentle, regular drink. Many language learning apps use this method because it works so well. Now, let's address those important questions. How can a beginner English learner, who might feel overwhelmed by new information, practically apply the concept of active recall when reading a simple English story graded reader? This is a perfect place to use active recall. When you're reading your graded reader, and you come across a word you're not sure about, or even a word you think you know, try this. 1. Read the sentence. For example, the small cat sat on the mat. 2. Pause and cover the new word. Let's say mat is new. Cover mat with your finger. 3. Try to remember. Ask yourself, what is the cat sitting on? The sentence says on the. Try to guess the word. If you can't, that's okay. 4. Reveal and confirm. Uncover the word mat. Did you guess it? If yes, great. If no, you've now seen it and know what it is. 5. Make a connection. Now think about the word mat. What does it look like? Is it like a rug? Where do you see mats? Maybe by the door? Imagine a mat by your front door. This connection makes mat more likely to stick. You can do this with verbs too. If the sentence is the dog will bark, cover bark. What sound does a dog make? Try to recall the word. For grammar, if you learn a new structure like I like plus ing, like I like swimming, try to recall it. Cover swimming and try to say I like and then try to add the ing verb. This active testing, even in small ways, makes a huge difference. It turns reading from a passive activity into an active memory-building exercise. What are the most common memory roadblocks for new English learners, and how do the techniques discussed association, chunking, active recall directly address these specific roadblocks? One of the biggest roadblocks is information overload. Beginners often feel like they are drowning in new words and grammar. They try to learn too much too fast. How chunking helps? Chunking directly fights this by breaking down the overwhelming amount of information into smaller, manageable pieces. Instead of trying to learn 100 words, you learn 10. This makes the task feel less scary and more achievable. Another common roadblock is forgetting quickly. You learn a word today and it's gone tomorrow. This happens because the brain doesn't see the information as important enough to keep. How active recall helps? Active recall is like a direct signal to your brain. This is important. I need to remember this. Every time you force yourself to pull a word or a grammar rule from your memory, you strengthen that neural pathway. It's like walking the same path in a forest many times. It becomes a clear trail. How association helps? Forgetting also happens because new information has no links to anything else. Association creates those links. When you connect a new English word to an image, a sound, a feeling, or a word in your own language, you're giving your brain multiple ways to find that information later. It's like having many different doors to get into the same room. A third roadblock is lack of understanding or interest. If you don't understand why you're learning something, or if it seems boring, your brain won't prioritize remembering it. How all techniques help? The very act of actively learning, of making connections, and of testing yourself makes the process more engaging. When you create a funny image for a word, it's more interesting than just seeing a definition. When you successfully recall a word, it gives you a sense of accomplishment. This engagement is crucial. The active learning for English memory method, by its nature, encourages you to be an active participant, which naturally increases interest and understanding. It's about making learning a journey, not a chore. By understanding and practicing these fundamental memory skills, you're not just learning English, you're building a stronger, more efficient learning engine. You're becoming a more confident and capable learner. Now that we've laid the groundwork for how to remember better, let's explore how to use this improved memory power, specifically within the context of reading and listening to English materials. We'll see how these memory tricks are the perfect partners for 2. Learn English easily. Learning English does not need to feel like climbing a very tall hill. Many people think learning a new language is hard, like trying to solve a very tricky puzzle. They think about long hours of boring rules and lists of words that are hard to understand. But what if I told you that learning English can be easy and fun? What if it is more like finding a new game, where each step you take makes you better? Your brain is amazing. It is made to learn. Think about how easily you learned your first language when you were a baby. You did not study books. You just listened. You tried to copy, and you learned a little bit at a time. Your brain is still that smart. The main thing is to work with your brain, not against it. We just need to use the right ways to help it remember things. Many people who are just starting feel worried. They think, I am not good at languages or I forget things easily. This is usually not true. The problem is often the way people try to learn. They might try to learn from books that are too hard, or they might just read words without really thinking about them. It is like trying to build a house with the wrong tools. It will be much harder. So, what are these right ways? They are actually very simple. The most important idea is learning actively to remember English. What does this mean? It means you do not just sit there and let the English words come to you. You do things. You get involved. You make your brain work a little, but in a fun, helpful way. It is like a gentle exercise for your memory. Think about it. If you just hear a word, like apple, you might remember it for a short time. But if you see a picture of an apple, say the word apple out loud and maybe even eat an apple, your brain makes many more links. It remembers the sound, the look, the taste, and the action. That is active learning. You are actively helping your brain keep that word for longer. This is why just reading a hard English book or watching a fast movie without understanding can make you feel bad. Your brain gets too much information. It is like trying to drink water from a fire hose. But when you use things that are just right for you, learning becomes much easier. This is where our special books come in. We call them books for different levels. Imagine books written just for you, using the English words and rules you already know or are just learning. These books are like friendly helpers. They do not give you very difficult sentences. Instead, they use simple words and short sentences. They tell stories that are interesting and easy to follow. Let's think about Maria. Maria loved stories, but she found learning English very hard. She tried reading a normal storybook, but the words were too big and the sentences were long. She felt lost and sad. She would read one page, and by the time she got to the end, she forgot what was at the beginning. Her memory felt like a net with holes. One day, a friend told her about books for different levels. Maria was a little unsure. Will these books really help? She wondered. She picked up a book about a dog named Max. The front had a picture of a happy dog. The words were big and clear. The sentences were short. Max is a dog. Max is brown. Max likes to play. As Maria read, she understood every word. She could see Max in her mind. She could imagine Max playing. She did not need a dictionary for every other word. She was actually enjoying reading. She felt a small spark of happiness. This was not hard. This was fun. She read the whole story without stopping. When she finished, she could remember Max's name, what color he was, and what he liked to do. She smiled. This was a big moment for her. She understood that learning English did not need to be a struggle. She had just learned new words and practiced her reading skills without even trying hard. She was learning actively, and her memory was working with her. This is the special thing about books for different levels. They make learning feel natural. They make you feel more sure of yourself with every page you turn. Because the language is simple, your brain can focus on understanding the story and remembering the new words and sentences. It is like giving your brain a clear, easy path to follow instead of a confusing maze. But we can make it even better. The best way to learn and remember it is often to use more than one of your senses. Reading is good. Listening is good. But what happens when you do both at the same time? Imagine reading about Max the dog, and at the same time, hearing a friendly voice read the words. This is called reading along. As you read the word dog, you hear the word dog. As you read the sentence Max is brown, you hear Max is brown. This double input, seeing and hearing, makes a stronger link in your brain. It is like drawing a line between the word on the page and the sound of the word. This makes it much easier for your brain to remember. When you read and listen together, your brain pays more attention. You learn how words should sound. You learn the rhythm of English sentences. This is a very strong way to help your memory. It is not just about memorizing lists. It is about truly understanding the language. So, what are the biggest worries people have when they are new to learning English easily? One is the fear that they are not smart enough. Another is the belief that it takes many, many years of hard, boring work. This section is here to tell you that those worries are usually wrong. Learning English can be easy. It is not about being a genius. It is about using simple, smart methods. How do we explain active learning so it feels easy? Think of it like playing a game. In a game, you do not just watch. You press buttons, you make choices, you react. Active learning is like that for your brain. Instead of just letting words go by, you are doing something with them. You are connecting them to pictures, to sounds, to stories. You are making them yours. What about those special books, the books for different levels? How do they make learning easy compared to big textbooks? Well, a textbook might show you a grammar rule like the past tense of to be, is, was, or were. That is a fact, but it can feel boring. A book for different levels might tell a story. Yesterday, I was happy. My friends were excited. We were going to the park. You see, the words was and were used naturally in a sentence. You understand the meaning from the story. Your brain remembers the situation, which is much stronger than just memorizing a rule. Books for different levels are like stepping stones. You start on the easiest stones, and then you move to slightly harder ones. Each step feels safe and possible. You feel more confident as you go. Textbooks can sometimes feel like trying to jump across a wide river all at once. It is scary and you might fall in. The idea of learning actively to remember English is all about making the learning feel less like work and more like exploring. It is about using tools that are made for your level and using them in ways that make your brain light up with understanding. It is natural to think that learning something important like English needs to be difficult. But often, the best learning happens when it is fun and when we feel like we are succeeding. When you use books for different levels and read along with the sound, you are actively using your mind. You are building strong memory links without stress. You are creating a good feeling about learning English. Now that we understand how to learn English easily by being active, let's look at the first strong tool that makes this possible: the magic of specially made books that talk directly to your growing English brain. 3. Use graded readers. Imagine you have a small, shiny stone. It feels nice and smooth. Now try to build a big, strong wall with just that one stone. It's not possible, is it? Learning English can feel like that when you start. You might learn one new word or a simple rule and it feels like a single stone. But how do you make that stone part of a strong, beautiful wall you can use? That's where our special books help. The first and best kind are called graded readers. So, what are these graded readers? Think of them as storybooks, but made just for you, the English learner. They are not like the big, hard books that people who speak English all the time read. Instead, graded readers are written in a special way. The writers are smart. They know that when you are learning, things need to be just right. Not too hard and not too easy. This means graded readers use words you likely know or can easily learn. They also use simple sentences. You won't find very long, confusing sentences that make your head hurt. Instead, you'll find clear, simple sentences that help you understand the story or the information. They are like stepping stones across a river. Each stone is a word or a sentence that helps you get to the other side. Understanding. These books come in different levels. You can find books for someone just starting and books for someone who knows a bit more. It's like picking the right size shoe. You want it to fit well so you can walk easily. Graded readers are made to fit your English level, making the learning easier and more fun. Now, let's talk about why these special books are like magic for your memory. Remember our book's main idea? It's all about learning English faster and remembering more. And the special way we do this is called active learning for English memory. Graded readers work perfectly with this method. Here's how they help your memory. First, they make your brain work less hard. When you read a book with very hard words and grammar, your brain has to try very, very hard. It's like trying to carry a very heavy box. Your brain is so busy just trying to lift the box that it doesn't have much energy left to put the box on a shelf for later. With graded readers, the sentences are simpler and the words are easier. This means your brain doesn't have to fight so hard just to understand. It has more thinking power left. This extra thinking power can be used to remember the new words and phrases you are learning. You can focus on understanding and remembering, not just on figuring out the words. Second, graded readers are great for hearing and seeing words many times. Think about how you learned your first language as a child. You heard words and sentences many, many times. A graded reader does something similar. You'll find that certain useful words and simple grammar patterns appear again and again in the story. They might be used in slightly different ways, but the main idea is the same. This natural repeating is like a gentle reminder to your brain. Remember this. It's important. Each time you see or hear a word or a grammar rule, it gets a little stronger in your memory. It's not boring. It's repeating that helps new things become familiar and easy to recall. Third, how things are used matters for memory. If I just give you a list of words like apple, run, happy, book, they might not mean much. But if you read a story where someone is happy because they have a new book to read and they run to the park to eat an apple, those words become part of a picture. They have meaning. Graded readers are full of stories and interesting topics. When you learn a new word or a new way to use a verb in a story, your brain connects it to the events, the people, and the feelings in that story. This connection makes the word or grammar much easier to remember later. It's not just a word, it's a word connected to an experience. This is the main idea of active learning for English memory, learning in a way that makes sense and stays with you. Finally, graded readers help you feel more sure of yourself. When you start reading a book and you can understand most of it, it feels great. It's like climbing a small hill and seeing the view. You feel proud and want to keep going. This good feeling makes you want to read more. And when you want to read more, you spend more time with English. More time with English means more practice, and more practice means better memory. It's a happy cycle. You feel good, you learn more, and you remember more. Now, how do we take these amazing graded readers and use them to really help our memory? This is where we add the active part of active learning for English memory. It's not enough to just read without thinking. We need to do things that make our brain work a little harder in a good way. One of the best ways is to read and listen at the same time. Many graded readers come with an audio version. This is wonderful. When you read the words on the page and listen to someone speaking them at the same time, you use two parts of your brain, your eyes and your ears. This uses both your memory for what things look like and your memory for what things sound like. It's like giving your memory a double boost. You can follow along with your finger on the page or just listen and look at the words. This connection between seeing and hearing a word helps it sink deeper into your memory. Next, don't be afraid to mark and write notes. When you find a word you don't know or a phrase that sounds interesting, use a pencil or a marker to mark it. You can even write a small note in the margin or in a separate notebook. Maybe write down what you think the word means or a quick translation. This act of marking the page or writing something down makes you pay closer attention. It tells your brain, this is important. Pay attention to this. Later, you can go back and look at these marked words. This is active work, and it makes a big difference for memory. Another great active thing to do is to summarize parts. After you finish a page or a chapter, stop for a moment. Try to explain in your own words what just happened. You don't need to speak perfect English. You can use very simple sentences. For example, if the story was about a cat chasing a mouse, you could say, the cat chased the mouse. The mouse ran fast. This simple act of remembering and saying things again makes your brain process what you've learned. It's like taking the information from your short-term memory and moving it towards your long-term memory. It checks if you truly understood, and by doing so, it makes your memory of the content stronger. And don't forget how good reading again is. If you liked a graded reader, read it again. It might seem simple, but reading again is a very good memory trick. The first time you read it, you focus on understanding the story. The second time, you'll find that you understand even more. You'll notice new words you missed before, or you'll understand grammar rules better. Your brain already knows the story, so it can focus on the language itself. This builds a strong base. Imagine visiting a new place for the first time. You see many things. The second time you visit, you notice details you missed before, and the place feels more familiar. Reading again works the same way for your English memory. Let's think about a real example. Imagine you are reading a graded reader for beginners, and you see this sentence: "The dog wagged its tail happily." If you saw wagged on a list of words, it might be hard to remember. You might think, what does that mean? But in the sentence, you see the dog wagged its tail happily. Your brain connects the action of wagged with the dog and happily. You might even picture a happy dog moving its tail back and forth. This picture and feeling connection makes wagged much easier to remember than just seeing the word alone. You learned it with its meaning, which is a powerful memory helper. The graded reader gave you the perfect setting. Now, think about a simple grammar point. Maybe you were learning about the past tense. A graded reader might have sentences like, "Yesterday, Sarah walked to the park. She ate an apple. She saw a bird." Seeing these simple past tense words walked, ate, saw used in a clear, short story helps you understand how they work. You see them used in a natural way, many times in different stories. This is much better than just memorizing a rule like add ed to the verb. The graded reader shows you the rule in action, making it feel natural and easy to remember. It makes the idea real. So, how do you actually do this active reading? It's simple. 1. Pick the right book. Make sure it's at your level. If it's too hard, you'll get upset. If it's too easy, you won't learn much. A good graded reader should feel comfortable, like a warm hug for your brain. 2. Read with the audio. If you can, always use the audio. Listen and read together. Try to match the sound of the word with the look of the word on the page. 3. Don't stop for every word. This is important. If you stop to look up every single word you don't know, you'll lose the flow of the story. Try to guess the meaning from what's around it. If a word is very important to understanding, or if you see it many times, then it's a good time to look it up and maybe write it down. 4. Pause and think. After a part of a page, or a whole page, just pause. Close your eyes for a second and think, what did I just read? Try to say 1 or 2 sentences about it. This small pause is a big memory helper. 5. Read again what you like. If a story or topic really interests you, don't be afraid to read it again. It's a sign that your brain is enjoying the learning, and that's the best kind of learning. By making reading and listening a good and manageable experience, graded readers build a strong base for your English words and grammar. They let you practice without feeling too much, and they naturally help you remember what you're learning. The next step is to make sure you're not just reading, but actively using these new building blocks to truly make them stick. 4. Active learning methods. Learning English is like building a big house. You need good building blocks, strong glue, and a smart plan. This book shares a very helpful plan called Active Learning for English Memory. It's a way to learn English so it stays in your mind for a very long time. And the best part? Learning English feels more like fun than work. Think about how you learned your first language. You didn't sit and memorize long lists of words. You heard them, you saw them, you used them. You were doing things. You pointed, you asked questions, you tried to speak. Your brain was busy making connections. Active learning for English memory helps you learn English in this natural, busy brain way. Active learning ways. Sometimes, when we learn English, we just read a book or listen. The words seem to flow over us. This is like watching a movie without really paying attention. You might get a little, but most of it is forgotten. This is called passive learning. It's easy, but it's not the best way for your brain to remember. Our brains are smart, but they need a little push to hold on to new things, especially new words and rules. Active learning is different. It means you don't just get the English, you do things with it. You jump in and make the English work for you. Imagine you have a special book for English learners with easy words and sentences. Passive learning is just reading the story. Active learning means you stop, think, ask questions, and write things down. You become a detective exploring English. Why is this doing important? When you actively use English, you tell your brain, this is important. Pay attention. Your brain then works harder to understand and remember. It makes stronger links, like building sturdy bridges between new English words and their meanings. It's like planting seeds in your brain and watering them. Passive learning is just dropping seeds and hoping. Active learning is giving them the best care. So, how can you learn actively? It's easy. Let's look at some simple ways, especially when you read your special books or listen to their audio. One of the easiest and most useful active ways is marking and writing notes. When you read, have a pencil ready. See a new word? See a useful phrase? Mark that too. Found a new grammar rule? Why does this help? First, marking the text makes you pause. You're not just letting your eyes move. You're deciding, this word is important to me. This decision is an active step. Second, when you see those marked words later, they remind you that you wanted to learn them. But don't just mark. Go further. Write the marked word or phrase in a small notebook. Next to it, write what you think it means or the sentence from the book. This is like looking closer. You're not just pointing, you're taking it out to look at it. For example, if you mark curious about a cat, you might write, curious the cat wanted to know things. Like me learning English. This links the new word to your own life, making it easier to remember. Another great active way is saying it in your own words. After you finish a part of your book, pause. Close the book. Now, try to tell yourself, in your own simple English, what happened. What was the main idea? Who was in the story? What did they do? This might be a little hard at first, but remember, you're using your words. You don't have to be perfect. The goal is to make your brain pull out the important ideas from your memory. If you can't remember something, that's okay. It shows you what to look at again. For example, if you read about a boy named Tom whose dog ran away, you could say, Tom was sad because his dog left. He looked for his dog everywhere. This simple summary makes your brain recall the main parts. It's a strong way to check if you understand and to make what you learn stick. You might be thinking, how can someone new to English, who might feel lost, easily use these active ways, like marking and summarizing, with a special book? That's a good question. The answer is to start small and be gentle with yourself. Let's say you pick up a special book for learners. You will read it. That's a good first step. Now, to mark things, don't try to mark every word you don't know. That's too much. Instead, choose just 1 or 2 words on each page that seem very interesting or useful. Just 1 or 2. As you read, when you see one of those words, grab your pencil and make a small mark. That's it. You've added an active step. Then, when you finish a short part, maybe 1 or 2 pages, take a breath. Ask yourself, what did I just read? If you can say just 1 sentence, that's great. For example, if the part was about a girl finding a shiny stone, you could say, the girl found a nice stone. You don't need a long speech. Just trying to remember, even a little, makes a difference. As you get more comfortable, you can try to summarize more or mark more words. It's like building strength. You start with light weights and slowly lift more. The magic of these active ways is how they involve your brain. When you mark a word, you make a clear choice. This is called learning with purpose. Your brain pays more attention when it knows you are trying to learn something specific. When you summarize, you make your brain pull out information. Pulling information from your memory is one of the best ways to make it stick. It's like exercising your memory muscles. The more you pull out, the stronger your memory gets. Another strong active way is guessing and asking questions. As you read your special book, try to guess what might happen next. If the story says, "The brave knight walked into the dark forest, and he heard a strange sound," what do you think the sound is? Is it a friendly animal? A scary monster? Just the wind? Your guess doesn't have to be correct. Just thinking about what could happen makes you more involved. Also, ask yourself questions as you read. Why did the character do that? What does this word mean? How is the sentence different from the one before? These questions make you an active explorer of the words. You're not just a writer, you're the captain of your learning ship, guiding yourself through English. These active ways also help you link new things to what you already know. When you mark a word like happy and you think, this is like when I feel good inside, you are making a link. You are connecting the new English word to a feeling or idea you already understand. These links are like superhighways in your brain. The more links you build, the easier it is to find and remember the information later. Special books for learners are like the perfect place to play for active learning for English memory. Because the language is simple and clear, you don't get stuck trying to understand every single word. This lets your brain focus on actively engaging with the story. You can focus on marking new words, practicing summarizing, and asking questions without feeling lost. The special book gives you a safe place to try these active ways. It's like learning to ride a bike with extra wheels. You can practice without the big fear of falling. You might wonder, what happens in our brain when we actively do things with words, like guessing or summarizing, that makes our memory stronger? This is where the science of active learning is really interesting. When you guess what might happen next, you use the front part of your brain, which is in charge of planning and making choices. You create a mental space where new information can fit. This makes the actual events of the story more memorable because they either prove your guess right, which feels good, or surprise you in a way that makes you think. Summarizing, as we talked about, is a way of explaining. You're not just repeating what you read, you're saying it in a new way, which means you have to think about the meaning more deeply. This deeper thinking creates stronger memories. It's like smoothing rough wood. The smoother it is, the nicer and longer it lasts. This process also involves thinking about your own thinking. When you summarize, you check if you understand. You ask yourself, do I really get this? This self-awareness is very important for learning well. When you actively ask questions about the text, you are figuring things out. You go beyond what is directly written and try to understand the hidden meaning. This kind of deep thinking is very powerful for memory. It makes your brain create links, come to conclusions, and build a richer understanding of the topic. This is much better than just memorizing facts without understanding them. In short, active learning ways change you from someone who just receives information to someone who actively builds knowledge. You build your understanding piece by piece, link by link. This is why active learning for English memory works so well. It uses how our brains naturally learn best. By doing, by being involved, by making meaning. By actively using your English materials, you don't just learn words, you build strong, lasting memories. You create a solid network of understanding that will help you as you continue your English journey. In the next part, we will look at special memory tricks you can add to this active learning foundation to make your English learning journey even quicker and more effective. These are like little helpers that can make your active learning even more powerful. Conclusion: you made it to the end of Easy English Memory Boost. That's a big win. You worked hard to learn English and make your memory better. We wanted to help you learn English faster and remember more. We did this with simple memory tricks and by practicing reading and listening in a smart way. We also showed you how special books, made for learners like you, can be great helpers. Let's talk more about that special way of learning, active learning for English memory. What does it mean? It means you don't just listen or read and hope to remember. You do things with the English. It's like building a muscle. The more you use it in good ways, the stronger it gets. When you listen and read at the same time, your brain works hard to link the sounds you hear with the words you see. This is active learning. It helps your memory because your brain makes stronger links. You don't just see a word. You hear it, see it in a story, and maybe even try to say it. This makes it much easier to remember than just looking at a list of words. The memory tricks we shared are also part of this. They help you actively grab new words and ideas so they stick in your mind. Learning words and stories from your special books is also active. Your brain remembers things better when they have meaning and are part of a story. You now have good tools. You know how to listen and read together. You know how to use your imagination to remember new words. You know why learning with stories is important. You have the knowledge and the plans to keep going with confidence. Every time you pick up an English book or listen to English, you are actively making your memory stronger and becoming better at English. It's okay if some days feel a little hard. That's normal. The important thing is to keep practicing in an active way. Be kind to yourself and be happy with every small success. If something is hard, don't worry. Go back and read or listen again. This is all part of the active learning that makes your memory grow. So, what's next? Keep using those special books. They open the door to more English. Keep listening and reading at the same time. Try different memory tricks to see what works best for you. Find English things you like. Maybe a simple story, a song, or a short video. Set small goals, like learning 5 new words each day or reading 1 page. The world of English is opening up for you. Keep learning, keep practicing actively, and keep your memory sharp. Your journey to speaking and understanding English is just starting, and with these plans, you are ready to do well. Happy learning!